I'm a huge movie fan. Anybody just love movies? I love movies, and the more I travel, I just always set watching movies on my computer. Man, I think Netflix is a gift from God. You know, like I love movies, and so I've kind of made like a top list of movies. Like number 1 is Braveheart. All right. Number 2 is Gladiator. Number 3 is Tombstone. As you can tell, I love man movies. All right. Number 4 is The Notebook. No, I'm just kidding. All right. But number four, seriously, don't judge me, all right? I have 4 kids, 10 and under, so don't judge me. Number 4 movie is The Lion King. Have you ever seen The Lion King? And you know at the beginning of The Lion King, you have the Lion King who is who? Mufasa. And he's standing on top of Pride Rock, and he's got his son. And what's his son name? Simba. And so he looks at Simba and he says, son, everywhere the light touches is our kingdom. But out there in the valley of the shadows, don't go there because there's an enemy. And the enemy, his name was Scar. And Scar had some guys working for him. They were the hyenas. Do you remember this? All right, so he goes, don't go out there. That's their territory. Well, here's the problem, is that Simba has a little girly friend. And what's her name? Nala, right? So here's my version of the Lion King. So one day Simba goes to Nala and he says, say boo. And she's like, what's up, stud muffin? And he goes, you want to go to the land of the shadows? And she's like, we're not supposed to. And he's like, girl, I got you. I'm a cub stud. And she goes, okay, you're so dreamy. All right, so then they go to the land of the shadows. And then here comes the enemy, the hyenas, right? And they start chasing Simba and Nala, and they're running and they're tripping over elephant bones, and then they get backed into the corner, and then here comes the enemy surrounding them. And as the enemy is moving in, here's Simba, and he takes his little paw and he scoots Nala behind him. Do you remember this? And he goes, I'm going to roar, I'm going to scare the enemy. So he gathers all his strength, all his power, and he's going to do this on his own. And he looks at the enemy in the face and he goes, Rawr! Do you remember that? And what did the enemy do? Laughed in his face. And then he goes to roar again, and right before he roars, there's this other roar that's like, roar! And the enemy flies back, does backward somersaults. Now, was it Simba who roared? No, who was it? His father, the Lion King, and he pounces down on the enemy. He's like, did you know this was my son? And they were like, and the third one's like, but here's the deal, is that we can go out by our own power, and the enemy's going to laugh. See, here's the deal, is that the Great Commission is a lot like Lion King in the fact that we have a Lion King. The Bible calls Jesus the Lion of Judah, calls him the King of Kings. He is the Lion King. See, but the Great Commission is different than the Lion King in this sense, is that Mufasa, the Lion King, says, don't go out to the shadows, stay in the light. See, it'd be real easy because this is what we tend to do at church, is we want to stay in the light. We want to stay where it's safe. We want to sit on our little padded pews, resting on our blessed assurances, all right, going to a bunch of potluck dinners, waiting for the rapture bus to all swoop down and pick us up. And we point at the world going, man, can you believe the world? They're going to hell in a handbasket. I can't believe that. So-and-so becomes president. We're all going to die. And the Great Commission is the opposite of that. Because what did our Lion King say? He didn't say stay in here where it's safe. He says, I am the light of the world. And go be salt and light. And go push back the darkness. Our Lion King says this, go. Doesn't that what he say? Go. And make disciples of all nations. Go. You have a ministry. Go. You have a message. And go because you have a means. See, here's the great thing about our Lion King. Our Lion King doesn't just say, go and good luck to you. What is the end of the Great Commission? It's a great promise. And lo, I am what? With you always. So he says this, go. And know this, I'm going with you. And listen, we can go out and say, all right, well, I'm going to serve and I'm going to proclaim a message. And if we do it by our own power, you know what the enemy's going to do? Laugh in our face. See, the enemy is not terrified of a bunch of Christians gathering together in a building and just sitting there and just learning a bunch of things. The enemy's not terrified of that. The enemy is terrified of the church that's mobilized to go and push back the darkness to the ends of the earth. And he says, I'm going to go and I'm going to roar through you. And listen, when our Lion King, our means, roars through us, serves through us, proclaims a message through us, the enemy is terrified of that, because the Lord will use his church to push back the darkness in the neighborhoods and to the nations for the glory and the name of our great King, because he deserves that, and we get to be a part of that as ambassadors. And my friends, that's a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Amen. For the glory of our great King.